All right, well, let's jump back into it. Who else you've got on the line for us?
Yeah, let's see. We have got Jamie from Texas. He, him pronouns.
Mhm.
Wondering, Jamie, why don't you tell us what you're curious about today?
Well, this is more another example of me airing out my own idiocy and weird thoughts in a public forum for people's amusement, but hopefully to spark a bit of a conversation. So
Hey,
I
that's what
am
we do
straight. I
every
am.
week here.
Right?
So as I've mentioned in previous calls, I'm straight and I'm cis and I'm het. And it's all very down the middle of the road. But I do try and be an ally. But I can't stop these odd thoughts invading my brain. And recently, one of my favorite content creators on YouTube, an animator called Jaden Animations, posted a video about her journey to discovering that she's an asexual. She's ace, aero ace specifically. And my first thought, and I couldn't stop it from hitting me in the head, was like, oh man, you're missing out on all those orgasms. They're great. I enjoy them regularly. They're free, they're healthy. It's like a good sneeze, only you can do it whenever you like. And I'm just thinking, oh God, is that a terrible thing to think? I mean, but like on the other hand, part of the whole pushback against like purity culture and all this like ridiculous puritanical nonsense that causes so much bigotry and hate and problems is like, oh, it's filthy, it's a sin, or blah. It's like, no, it's not. It's a perfectly normal function of the human body. I suggest you have one. I suggest you have several if you can.
Yeah, I mean,
Well,
it's interesting that you say that about the orgasms with the asexual community. So, believe it or not, there are actually so many different kinds of asexual people as well. And I am best friends with a gay person who now identifies as asexual. He doesn't have any interest in having sex with other people, but his walls in his home are covered with naked men and hard cocks, and he masturbates all the time. But he has no interest in having sex with other people and having relationships with other people. None at all. So, and then there's like gray ace, there are people who like do every once in a while want to have sex with another person, but mostly don't. And there's like every other thing in between. So I think that like what I understand of for people who are ace and don't have orgasms, I think that they're not missing out on anything at all because they're not interested in them. Like they've probably even had a few and they're like, that's just not for me. So I think then this just gets down to like the root of so many like misunderstandings between human beings is just that like what I look at something and I am like, I cannot imagine somebody being okay with not having X, Y, or Z. Just because like I can't fathom it because I need X, Y, or Z doesn't mean that other people also are missing out because they don't have those things that I can't imagine not having. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and that's part of the reason I'm calling in. Not because I thought that I was having a rational, reasonable thought. I already knew that. Oh, come on, Jim, that ain't good thinking right there. But I do like to sort of keep myself accountable. And the thing is that I guess when people. Quick segue, and then I'll not take any more of your time unless you want to continue this particular line of conversation. One of the issues that we have as humans is we like to group things and we like to put things in boxes, and also the symbol of the LGBTQ IA plus community is the rainbow flag, and it's like, oh, so there's several different categories. It's like, no, it's a spectrum, and like the electromagnetic spectrum, it's a continuum, and like, so like I might be tuned to like 400 hertz, but that person's tuned to 403 hertz, which is very similar but different. So yeah, it's all very much on a spectrum, and getting your mind around that is very difficult, even if you really, really try.
Yeah, I agree with you, Jamie. I also have difficulty, personally imagining what it would be like to say, never have an orgasm again. Like that seems not preferable to me. But also, I think about it in terms of other kinds of preferences and experiences that I really enjoy. Like I let me ask you a question. What is your opinion on Hawaiian pizza?
I'm
The internet's
I can
favorite argument.
Yeah.
I can understand it. I actually have
Uh-huh.
several thoughts on this topic. I can understand it from and you can almost call it an analogy for sexuality and the problems it can cause in families as well, because I can understand the appeal, the sweet and the salt. I find that it's kind of a bit like that isn't actually Hawaiian food. It's not a Hawaiian pizza. It's just a pizza with pineapple on it.
That is actually kind of an important thing to throw out about this debate. I hate
Yes,
to
it
be
is.
that guy. It's a little colonialist, but
It
okay.
is.
Anyhow,
It is. I love how nuanced this got real
it
fast.
really is. Yeah,
Centuries.
it is delicious.
Yeah, so
but,
some people can find it delicious, and I can understand why. However, I wasn't that much of a fan, but my sisters both loved it, and since we're only getting one pizza between the three of us kids, I had to have it. Whether I wanted it or I wanted Meat Feast, but no. We're only buying one pizza for you kids, so majority rules.
Yeah. So you had to have that sweet, sour, tangy pineapple exploding in your mouth when what you actually wanted was sausage in your mouth. And,
Yeah.
I think we just call it sausage.
Sausage, yeah. It's hard for me to understand not wanting to enjoy that pineapple goodness on a pizza. And I think people are missing out. But, some people don't feel the same way about pineapple as I do.
Yeah.
You actually made my point better, though.
Yeah.
When
and
then it's
something is this person.
I think about I have a family member, an older family member, and it's just like a little personality flaw of hers that she's just like, oh, but you don't want it that way. Here, you want it this way. Oh no, don't you want to put the da 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 on your da? And I'm just like, I just want it the way I want it. Thanks.
Yeah.
And so I think it's just important to sort of keep that in mind when we're thinking about other people's sexualities in general. It's just like, wait, you're a what? You what do you like to do? You like cupcake batter on your nipples? That's so weird. It's just like, yeah, maybe it's weird for me and you, but for them, that's what floats their boat. So just sort of being accepting of that, I guess. Which it sounds like you totally are. You kind of understand the answer already to your question, it sounds like.
Yeah, like I say, it's just a conversation starter and keep myself accountable. And also understanding, and one of the things we always trip up on, I've tripped up on a bit myself, is that people can change. You don't have to be the same thing forever. Like your last caller,
exactly.
I felt one way, then another, and it took me a time. So, for example, I was in love with being in love. I was very romantic in my 20s, and I've been through a bit of a rough patch, and it's kind of turned me off romance for now, and I consider myself aromantic at the moment. I have a lot of love in me. It comes out as dad energy. I want to dad everyone, and not in a sort of creepy way, in a kind of now there, son, let me tell you, don't put your nipples in the toaster. That's a no-no. But I have this sort of protective paternal love in me.
Yeah.
But that might change again. Who knows?
Yeah. And I think that's a beautiful part of existing and having a life here on Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Embracing that.
Well, we have religion and the internet, and on those two places, you're not allowed to have nuance. Did you know that? No nuance allowed.
Right. We're probably blowing up the chat comments right now with pineapple on pizza.
I know.
Yeah. I didn't mean to start a war, but sometimes
it's not your fault.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much for calling in, Jamie.